Yeah.
It was it was built in 63.
Alright. So we'll call to order this meeting on Monday, December 15th at 5:30. Myra, can you do a roll call for us, please?
Commissioner Garrison.
Here.
Commissioner Barry.
Here.
Commissioner Holman is absent. Chair Flores.
Present.
Commissioner Devane is excused. Commissioner Waver. Here. Commissioner Underwood Bush. Here. Thank you.
Does everyone have the opportunity to read the minutes? Do anyone have any changes to make?
3.1, there is a typo, it should say 9/15/2025, I believe, it says 9/15/25.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
I can fix that.
Anything else? I will go to, does that have to be like a,
They can just make a motion to accept them with the correction.
okay. So then I will retain a motion to accept the minutes with the correction.
I move.
Anyone second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passed. Any visitors or public comments? No. Staff report.
Perfect. I'm coming over here. Now, driving the computer again tonight. Today we're gonna learn about storefronts. So we've been talking about houses. Today we're gonna talk about storefronts. And I think, man, storefronts are cool, right? It's been fun kind of looking at this stuff. Houses are cool, but storefronts are cool too. Now, hey, Myra is showing on.
Oh, yeah.
So storefronts are cool, right? And I think what I'm trying to communicate with this presentation is ultimately storefronts have changed over time as well. And I think if we're learning anything about cities, is cities change generally over time, right? And storefronts themselves have changed over time. And it's interesting because when you look at storefronts, they're really a response to the technology of the time, to things like the transport of the time, as well as like functions associated with what the building is being used for, right? And so it's interesting because apparently in like the 17th and 18th century, storefronts kind of looked a lot like houses. Right, the technology didn't really allow big expanses of glass, and so the windows were, smaller. They were sort of built like residential windows. But with people wanting to sell merchandise, and windows sell merchandise, things like cast iron came into popularity. And cast iron allowed folks to span a greater area than you could with other materials, right? And so this storefront that you see here has the cast iron pillars on the sides of it, right? You can see that there and there. Also things like better glass manufacturing or float glass or I don't know what they call it. I think it's float glass manufacturing. Essentially larger panes of glass allowed people to put the big glass in the cast iron frames, right? So that is really what starts influencing storefronts that we see. But once we see these storefronts like this, we see them change from this point through like the 60s and even to the present day. And so that's what we're going to kind of explore today. I got a question though, does anybody have an idea of what this building is here? It's a pharmacy, yeah, but what building is this in town?
Here, here.
Here in town,
Oh,
And it's the pharmacy, and then isn't it the real estate place? Well, it's real estate now, it was the antique store before.
yeah, so you're
Yeah,
thinking
right.
the Dan Weaver place, it's not actually the Dan Weaver place. It's interesting, I saw this picture and I was like. I went out and I actually looked at it just to see, because these cast iron pillars are still there. The storefront is very changed. What's it?
Yeah.
They're still there.
Yes.
And it's by Arena,
Yes.
yeah. Yeah, and Arena actually has, I think this is Arena over here, this is the River Gallery building right here, and you can tell. Because this right here, this pillar does not match this pillar, you can see this pillar has this feature, whereas this has this sort of knob thing. This has, and I'll try and zoom in just a little bit so you can see it. This has a feature like a little diamond thing here, whereas, and nothing here, whereas this sort of has. Vine patterns sort of going up it. And decorative. I'm not exactly certain, but I would imagine somewhere around there, you know, So, going on to the next picture. We can see that that's this building right here, the pillar that we see in the left is the pillar associated with this building, and I'll show you a better picture of it. Next. I guess I show you this picture because. What do you guys think about those signs? They're big signs, right? They're really big signs. Now, what method of transportation are those signs communicating towards?
say that again,
What, it's, so we gotta imagine that signs are communicating to customers. Where are the customers coming from in this picture?
The street.
They're coming from the river, right? And so the method of transportation at the time is the river. They're advertising down C Street essentially toward the river, and that's why those signs are so stinking big. Right? So it makes sense when we see it that way. I showed this picture because this building right here was a whole lot more elaborate than it is right now. With some of the detailing up here, this is the Ash Creek Veterinary Building. I'll also point out these awnings, and we'll see these just a little bit later. These are massive awnings over the street, right? And so we can see this awning again here, and you can see the little supports in this picture holding up those awnings. So my feeling is this probably got blown off at some point in a windstorm. Is my guess. And I would imagine that's why it's not there. But again, I'll just show you some of the detailing, some of these things on the top of this right here. But again, I'll show you this because this storefront right here is different than the storefront that exists currently. I meant to pull up the Google Maps so we could look at it, so hold on.
Yeah.
So you can see that in this image, this shows the same building. Oh, you can't see it because I haven't pulled it across. This image shows the same building. And you can see a lot of those things on top of the building are gone. And also the storefront is completely changed, right? This awning was not in this picture. Right? Also the storefront itself is much smaller than this. These are transom windows up here above the retail base. right? So the windows are much higher. Also, I'll just call out this real quick. As we can see, the river gallery right here, and when we zoom in, we see that pillar from the one image. And then this pillar from that one image. Again, I suppose I can go back to it just so we can conceptualize that image again. Like, look at that thing. What a beautiful storefront. And we, yeah, you betcha. You betcha. And so compared to this, so this was all windows at one point up to here, right? At some point, they covered the transom windows. Also, this storefront is completely different because the door is on this side as opposed to the middle. Right? I'll show it to you again. You can see that. Again, when people were walking through a community, right? So one of the things that I said was transport is a huge influence on storefront design. The folks that were accessing this business were walking by it, and so windows sold merchandise. As we transitioned to things like cars and whatnot, the need for windows became less. Also, at this time, there probably wasn't electricity in town, right? I imagine, when this was originally built. And so with things like electricity, you don't need as high windows. And
That electricity wire.
wire,
There's nothing too up there. This little.
Right over the doorway?
Huh?
This little. light.
oh,
Begin
right
right
there,
from the top of the picture, on the top of the picture.
the exterior, potentially,
Snap little wires.
potentially. If it is, the building was definitely built, or at least I would imagine that the building was built before electricity. So. So all that being said, you can see how things again, like transport, like technology. And then like the activity of the building itself changed the layout of the storefront. And changing tastes. So I'll show you this picture again, because one thing I want you to notice about this right here is that is one building, right? That looks like one building right there, right? It's one composition, set of windows like this, right? Well, right now that is two separate buildings. It's the same configuration, but you got the arena on the one side, you got the river gallery on the other, right? I think that's interesting, and you can see that like Miranda's saying, because you can see that there's pillars here and here associated with the building.
But those two match on either side of the arena.
Yeah.
Like they were meant to be an individual building.
They match.
And
If,
then the gallery building's completely different on the other side. But you're saying those two buildings were one originally?
so. I think this was a different, I think this had a thing right here as I'm looking at it. So when I look at this, you can see this right here, this right here, this right here. That's basically that building right there. Now, potentially it was sort of one composition at one point, but you see the three tops of that building, and going to future pictures, I got a nice little picture there. We'll get back to that. But you can see these three still right there. For this building, there was three things that popped up off of the top. And then in this, when you see this, you can see there's the Palace Tavern probably, or arena. And then this is a River Gallery building. Right, you guys seeing that? So. Another thing that I'll just call out before I jump off of this picture, because it's super interesting, these windows, and I don't know when this picture was taken, I'm gonna guess I don't know, I don't know what they're, I would, World War I is what I would, what it. You know, right around, yeah, somewhere right around then is when I would picture this picture being taken. But you can see these windows here, I do not believe match with these windows. Right, and these windows here do not match with these windows. So at some point, between the construction of the building and this picture, even the storefront had changed. So, I'm not exactly certain what that is. What I will say about, and you can see from. From this picture, that awning right there is gone in this picture. Right, so, so what I want you folks to sort of picture and conceptualize is. And we'll watch a little video that talks about this a little bit, is cities change at different speeds. Right, the change of cities happens at different speeds. So things like the creation of lots, if you look at the lots in Independence, they are almost exactly the same as when they were originally created. They might shift a little bit, some of them have changed directions. But the lot pattern has basically remained the same. The layout of the streets, that's basically remained the same, right? Then when you put a building on it, a lot of times the building stays there for a long time. Some buildings come and go pretty quick. But like a building like this has stayed there for a good long time, right? Probably 100 and almost 50 years at this point. But things on the building have changed faster, right? Like that awning has changed faster. And so things like the skin of the building or what it's covered with, or the windows in the building, they change faster, right? And so cities are always changing, but different parts of the cities are changing at different rates. Does that make sense?
It does, but it's also at a time when you didn't have a commission that said, let's hold off here and make a decision on what type of redecorating here that we're gonna do.
Right, exactly.
So,
That's exactly true, and I will say that, so. This obviously happened at one point, but then this also happened at another point as well. And so this was a response to, I mean, if we take the ideas of. The storefront design is based on the activity. I mean, what is this storefront sort of telling you based on the activity inside? They don't want you seeing in there, I would say so, I would say, and we'll see another picture where it's the same sort of thing, they don't want you seeing in there, and that sort of inspired the storefront design, I would say. Also, things, how does transportation relate to a picture like this? Right, I mean, other than the horse. What I would say is, the main sign is a big sign, and I would imagine that's more oriented to car traffic. Than pedestrian traffic, you don't see any sort of sign popping out this way that says bar to a pedestrian walking along here, right? It's sort of different than what we see elsewhere. Now, I mean, again, I've shown you this picture before, the downtown really looked rough for a while. I mean,
Yeah.
look at how rough that looks, this is Dan Weaver's building, that looks real bad. A whole bunch of this right here is boarded up, this is the Sperling building, a whole bunch of that is boarded up, again. Signs really oriented to car traffic and not pedestrian traffic. Right, I'll zoom in on this one. Uh-oh. Yeah. Look at that building, that's all boarded up as well, including the transom windows. And an automobile sign. For a sign oriented to automobile traffic as well. This was right here. And that's,
Do you think it had to do with energy conservation with all those windows? These buildings are hard to keep already.
so, I think that's part of it, So again, it's, so. And I think that this, I mean. All of these changes are made by people who are not stupid, right? I mean, I think that we need to recognize that they're doing it for a clear reason. We can look back in retrospect and say, well, that's a dumb idea. But I mean, so if this right here is a bar, again, we don't want people looking in and watching so-and-so get a beer. Also, things like the heating, you're exactly right. So things like transom windows, a lot of times what people did was they would put in false ceilings to try and limit the amount of height that you're heating. So again, it's a rational decision. We look at it now and we're like, what were they thinking? You know, look at, I mean, that building right there is still this building, right? We look at it now and we're like, wow, that's a really beautiful building. But they did do it based on a logical reason. We just might disagree with that reason.
Do we know why this Berlin building is all boarded up?
In this picture, I don't.
Seemed like. Was there some criminal activity? At one time? I mean. The effect of that.
I don't know. See, I just imagined that.
The teenager went up. Oh, it's been a while.
That's,
And I will say that sometimes, like, I know that Arena has a drop ceiling now, like, but also we have fire damage and they didn't wanna fix it, so they just. Put in a fixed ceiling so you can't see it. Remember, I think you turn on your phone. I know that like Arena, they have a big ceiling because there was damage via fire and they didn't wanna fix it, so. Just turn that.
you bet, yeah. So, I mean, people do things for reasons. Anyway, let's go down to a different part of downtown. So this is the Craven building right here. This is the Cooper building right here. Was it?
AAA,
Was it?
AAA.
Cooper?
Cars.
Oh.
Always.
Gotcha. So what? I guess I just want to show you this because we see, again, the storefronts changing really rapidly. I think it's tough to conceptualize how often some of these storefronts have changed. So the Craven building right here, and I just point this out because that's a beautiful storefront right there as well. You can see that's divided into two entries in this building right here, and then over here, two awnings, right?
Boarded up.
Yeah, it's boarded up now. This right here, I sort of show you this because if we zoom in here, we can see that's a different storefront right there, where that's all transom windows with a big awning across the front of it. Let me see if I can pull that over just so we can see it a little bit more. Also, we start seeing here the difference in the Cooper building over here, where you can see those transoms are now boarded up. All that sort of stuff. We can see the signs orienting more toward the road, right? And automobile traffic. And then coming down here, I just took this same expanse and showed you here. The transom windows are covered. We have the same awning. Then we have this awning, and call this out because all those beautiful windows in the Cooper building were covered over, right? And again, that was probably a bar. So again, they don't want people to see in there, right? So again, I guess I just sort of show you this so we can see how these things are transitioning. Also, this storefront is different from, this is silk tie right now. you can see this storefront is different than the original storefront in Silk Tie. Right? So I'll show you just that, so we can picture what it looks like now. When we look at like the Cooper building, very nice windows, right? That's all put back. And then the Craven building, it's like, man, it would be very nice to see something like that. Looking like this again,
It keeps things to do it, so.
right? That would be very, very neat. Now, going down the block just a little bit, we'll take a look at this building right here. We can see that this storefront is different, huh? We can see that this brick like that, and even the smaller windows is probably not how it would have originally been. So let's get a look at what that looked like. So this is the bank when it was built. Now, when we look at this picture, what do we see that's different about this storefront than the next one? You want me to see it again?
A separation.
The separation. I'll show it to you again, so let's note everything that's different between that picture and this.
The entrance.
The entrance is in the center and not on the side. You can see on this, the entrance is on the side. Also, what do we see that's different?
I think the flat under the curve, the little dome windows, it's kind of flat there instead of. Or there's still there instead of it being all.
Cut off the columns.
They cut off the columns.
Yeah.
Can you imagine that? I just think stuff like that is amazing to me, like, look at that. You can see those columns have dimension. Right, you can see there's dimension in this front right here. Right, you look at it now. And it's very sort of, I don't know, 50s or 60s era.
See,
Somebody run into it or something?
I have no idea.
Under those dome windows, it kind of, there's. That section there is like curved in the first, in the old picture.
And it's curved.
See how it's got, I don't know what you call that, drawn blank. Yes, that area right there.
This, yeah, oh, I see, yeah. There's a lot of detailing right there, whereas this doesn't have that degree of detailing.
Just had to cut it all out when they cut the pillars off.
Yeah,
I remember when they fixed the windows, cause they were cracked.
Were they covered up at one time?
Yes.
That's what I thought.
isn't that, it's,
It was.
gotcha. So anyway, you can see that, again, people wanna have fresh, a lot of this too is like selling merchandise, right? Folks wanna have their storefronts look sharp, and so this, at a certain point, somebody said, no, that doesn't look like what I'm going for with my business. I'm gonna go with something like this instead.
Yeah.
Right?
Probably thought it was dated,
Was that?
they probably thought it looked dated.
They probably thought it looked dated, and so, yeah, and so we see this decision getting made over and over again, especially in downtown. So storefronts, again, they're changing faster than the building themselves. Right, cause we can look at this and tell everything else but the storefront is that's still the same building, right? We can see this still, we can see this detailing still. But yeah, it's a storefront that's changing at a different speed. Oops, I'll show you at the top just cause group it's there, yeah. So. It's interesting, right? Alright, let's keep on going. We'll go over to the Mason building. and this thing. I mean, again. The Mason building right now does not have this storefront. At all, and this thing has transitioned a lot of times when we look at it. So this is 1910s or 1920s. This shows the Taylor Creamery building right here, and this is a Mason building. We see transom windows and a big awning right here, and I'm sorry, that's the only image I can get that shows that. And then we see the addition to the building, which came this way. We see all the transom windows covered, and then look, an awning. And this awning's an interesting one because you can't really see it here, but this thing is a big giant sign. Right? Essentially, you can see that there's a dimension right there. So none of the pillars that are later on the building were on top of the building, and none of the pillars right here are underneath that thing. It's just like a giant awning with a sign. And again, this decision is it's for advertising purposes, it's for transportation purposes, because that's looking down Monmouth Street right there. That's a big old sign, right? Looking down Monmouth Street. So they made that decision for a reason. And then coming further down, we can see, okay, now the pillars have been added. We see the little banister sort of thing added as well. But it's interesting because I think a lot of people, if they looked at that building, they would think, oh yeah, this is old, this is an original part of the building. And it's really not. No, it's actually a later addition that framework. Now, I'll show you how it looks right now, just so we remember.
Oh, yeah.
So the banister is not on the top anymore. Even the storefronts themselves, you can tell by like, these are like aluminum windows. So again, if the goal is always to have more window area in a downtown, eventually the technology gets better and better, and so the pieces of glass are held together by smaller and smaller portions. So you'll go to some downtowns where you can't even really see, or I mean, it's just a thin little piece holding together the huge plates of glass. And so this is a whole, I mean, this is not wood, that's an aluminum, it looks like aluminum.
Whatever.
I have no idea. I think it's been like this for quite a while at this point. I was here when she put this in, that was right when I came in. When the hood got put in, but I don't remember any change to the windows.
When it was approved or when it got put in? Cause what we approved was not what got put in.
That's right.
Right, I was here for after it had been put in. Yeah, Yeah.
So I think she was supposed to cover it.
Yeah,
gotcha.
which is not, it's not that very expensive. Yeah. Just trim that.
Yeah, that was now at least 6 years ago, so I don't quite remember. What I will just say is when we look at this, I mean. Again, those are small windows for a downtown. I'll go up to this picture. And I'll just say. That's what those windows used to look like. Big windows, transom windows. Right, and again. In this time when a lot of people are accessing your store via walking. You wanna have your merchandise cleared. Right, windows sell merchandise, that's always the plan, and you can see the recess here as well. Those recesses are put in there so people can see more of your merchandise. Right, so you're literally trying to create the most area to put stuff in that you can sell. And with stuff like this, you can see this turns out very flat primarily, especially in that one. This goes in a little bit. And this goes in a little bit as well, but again, this was the original building. Then this was the addition. This right here, and this picture and that picture, you can see that goes upstairs, that's an open stairway. Right there, that went up to that unit, that's now closed. So, alright, keep on going. I was showing you folks this picture before, and I love this picture. And what a cool looking, I love this, it basically makes it look like one composition or one unified building. You know, it's a pretty cool thing, none of these pillars are here now. But even these storefronts have changed pretty rapidly. You'll remember I showed you one time this building without those windows in it. I might have that picture here. So this is what that looked like. You can see getting more oriented to the car with some of that signage. Going still further, you can see the windows are gone. This building down there, that's Subaru right there. And that's now a garage. Also, you can see some of this is getting covered up, the transom windows and everything like that. Also, that's just a massive awning. And then I will show you this picture of today, because I guess one thing, we are moving in good directions. You know, like, I mean, from where we have been, a whole lot of good things have been done. Now.
When they said, people stepped in and said, hey, we have to stop this, the town is looking awful. Better do something about it. I know it was people like Barbara Martin, Dan, those people.
I mean, I think things like the Historic Preservation District were part of it, and that happened in the 80s, so. But, I mean, the early downtown plan is from 2000, so. I think people have worked on bettering this town for a number of years, you know. I mean, if you think about it, like. I don't know, yeah. Gotcha. Yeah, so I mean, again, this building looked different, I mean, it's crazy, and I don't have a good picture of it today. But those are like garage doors on the front of this building. You couldn't even tell it's the same building, you're exactly right. And then, this building had transom windows, and it's interesting because today I was walking by. And I noticed that their awning has been removed, and so the transom windows are opened up, but. That storefront right there is not an original storefront, you can tell. And then this building. Which. Originally had the pillars on the top to look like the other. Right, this one, which is both of these. Has been pretty significantly changed, so the pillars were all the way like that, you can imagine that this thing. Right there, we have another one of these in downtown, and again, somebody thought that was a good idea to make the business look sharp. You know, and I think we look at that now and we're like, wow. That doesn't quite look great. Maybe in 50 years, people are gonna be like, whoa, I can't believe that building had that on it, that's so awesome. Right? Probably, but tastes change, you know, and so like even this. You see brick like that, that's probably not an original brick or anything like that. It definitely looks like that's been redone as with this as well. So, show you one more. This is a JCPenney building. This is the W building, which is where I can even remember what the name of the June Carter hair salon or whatever is in there. Isn't it June Carter? It is. Yeah, and this is taken from the bank building, the upper story of it. And I just show you this because this is a JCPenney building, right? You can see windows, transom windows, big old awning. I mean, look at all these awnings. There's awnings all over the place. You go to this picture, and it seems a similar era, right? Because similar era cars. It must have gotten sold. The Eagles must have picked it up, and look at what they did to the front of that building. Can you imagine that?
With the elks.
A lot of things though, like with JCPenney's back when.
Oh, did I said it wrong.
Yeah, the elks.
It's Elks.
In case you get any phone calls.
When Penny's bought older buildings or moved into older buildings, they wanted them all to look similar. So people would recognize the Penny's brand, so they would do remodels on the exterior, and they can look like the one in Salem, like the one in wherever.
Yeah, so I guess that's sort of what I wanted to show today, and I think I guess I don't know. Maybe the pun, well, for one, cities change. For two, though, I think that for the downtown that we're trying to create, we are trying to fundamentally create a walkable downtown. I think things are changing with technology still, where people are buying more stuff online and all this sort of stuff. But still, generally, people are always gonna want places to go and be with people and to buy stuff. I would imagine. And so creating a downtown that's suited for people to walk around and whatnot, like really, we're going back to the future, it seems to me. And embracing some of that history is what kind of makes sense to me. Where there is, and design and history and all that sort of stuff. I guess. I don't know. What are your folks' thoughts about all that stuff?
I think you're right. Especially nowadays. People need to get out. Spend time with the community. And from when I talk to the merchants here. They're very pleased. But they aren't really pleased with the parking. But they are pleased with especially like the trolley. Where people on it.
This makes me realize that we have, there have been some great improvements. But it makes me also realize how much improvement we still have left to do.
Yeah, it's. I mean, one thing that I'm kind of convinced about is like. Man, I don't know, like, I think as people, we fundamentally want certain things, right? I think we want a place to. See beauty, maybe. To see. To be tied to history, to see people, to engage with others, and I listened to this guy named Paul Kingsnorth. He says, to build a culture, you fundamentally need 4 things, right? I'm gonna butcher them. People, place, past, and prayer is what he says, right? what I would say is fundamentally, we have three of those when we talk about our downtown, right? We have people, we have a past that we can showcase and tie people towards. We have people, right? And so. Fundamentally, like by having a beautiful downtown, right, that especially emphasizes good design and a connection to the past. We are hopefully building a culture, it seems to me, we're hopefully, I don't know. I would, that kind of makes sense to me, cause I do think that. Yeah. If we just came in here and said, you know what? We wanna do this on all the buildings. Right, and just completely ignore the past. Then I feel like we're not tied to something that came before us. I mean, it's neat that we can look at this stuff and be like, hey, yeah, look at how they built it in the past, or this is. Or it's even something different, you know, it's not super plastic or whatever.
I think people are appreciating the beauty of the older, the amount of craftsmanship and skill that went into them, everything now is so. The same, cookie cutter, it's the same, it's all cold, hard,
Yeah,
you
flat,
and
it's,
very flat,
yeah,
and very technology oriented, so. I think people are just appreciating that beauty and the fact that everything doesn't look exactly the same anymore.
yeah, I would say so.
Even more so with AI.
Right, right, I mean. That's exactly right. I was joking with my parents the other day, I said. I got a new idea for a political party, it's the human party, right? And we're against all things artificial. We're against artificial intelligence, we're against artificial ingredients in foods. I don't know.
So like, you're gonna have a hard time finding a job.
I know, but I thought that was pretty. But I mean, fundamentally, I think that's what we're trying to create in our downtown and by celebrating the historic district, we're trying to create a place that people can go in and enjoy and be people.
Well, I also think it brings people in. Our little town is unique. And it brings people in because they want to be here. They'll say, well. Oh, your town is so cute. I love living. Because it is different. Okay.
Almost all of my Airbnb reviews from people who are out of state or out of town say, it's so cute, I wish our town would do that. They've lost all their character. I mean, it's always mentioned from other,
Right.
towns, other states.
Yeah, well, I will say that there's towns that are. Funding downtown revitalization. Right, or encouraging downtown revitalization, and the revitalization looks something like this. It's like an approximation of something like that. I mean, I won't say the bottom, but like, okay, like. They're funding downtown revitalization and what they're getting is, I don't know. Stuff more like this. You know, with brick. With not history, you
Maybe
know.
that's a lack of education, the knowledge.
I would say that's a huge part of it. One thing that I'm thankful. That we have is we have access to a whole bunch of photos, like I didn't have access for a while. But I love being able to pull these, so we can actually look at them and be like, hey, look at the history. I imagine some cities don't have that same repository.
And that's why I pushed so hard for so long about this education, because. How can we don't know what we don't know.
Mhm.
We need the education so that moving forward, we can make sure that we're going in the right direction.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's great that we have all these photographs. I was gonna also ask you if you could send them to me when we're done with this meeting.
Yeah,
So I can look at them, longer and kind of check them in town.
yeah,
But yeah, the education of it is fundamental, not only for this commission, but for the people who live here.
Yeah.
The people who shop here, for the people who visit here.
And for the person who buys the building, they're gonna read it.
mhm,
Yeah.
They'll do what it looks like.
Right, definitely. Right, yeah, I mean, to get to something like, I mean. Seeing some of these things like that, I'm sorry, this graven image right here. You know, it's like, this is one of the few images of this, what this storefront looked like that I can find. You know, it's like, oh man, but look at how cool that would look in comparison to what it is now. And I think sometimes we just don't even anticipate or conceptualize that that could be possible in a building like this. You know, like. We see this and we almost think this is what it is and always has been, but no, it's not. All right, so just talking about change and whatnot, I have a video. It's in the same thing. Okay. Yeah, it's this guy again. And I really love these videos. Partially I like them because Brian Eno did the theme song for them. Just like, that's awesome. What a cool thing. What number did I say? 128?
Well, that was close.
All right.
In Venice, there's a Gothic confection known as the Ca d'Oro. From the front, it is architecture, unchanged since 1434. But from the side, you see it is really a building, perpetually changing.
The differing materials, the joins in the brickwork, and the subtle changes in style reveal layers and layers of historical change, and it's deceptive. This interior looks authentically Renaissance, but it is mostly the work of Baron Franchetti in the 19th century. The mosaic floor is a recent design using 400-year-old materials.
That beautiful Venetian mask on the front illustrates perfectly the meaning of the word facade. Facade means face. It also means fake. It's where a building fakes permanence. This is how we need to look at buildings. Behind the shallow illusion is a complex, organic reality.
Amid the shearing layers of change, buildings that last do so by being loved and refined. The main architect is time.
The Boston Athenaeum is its members' family library. Everybody thinks we're completely unchanging. Therefore, they're very nostalgic. Our members are very nostalgic about this building. It is a secure point in a world rapidly evolving into something which they don't necessarily like very much. And so the building is very much cherished as stable, unchanging, and so on. And that is, of course, completely wrong, because actually the building changes persistently.
The facade of the Boston Athenaeum today is remarkably similar to this 1895 photograph. It still looks like a three-story building. But a look down the stairwell reveals how much the Athenaeum has grown. It now has 10 floors of books.
We've all seen great buildings in the past defaced by ill-thought-out redecoration or additions or changes. And is there pressure? There's always pressure when you're adding 5,000 or 6,000 volumes a year. You can rapidly, if you're not stupid, you can rapidly translate that into how many running feet of shelves you have to have, and what the hell are you going to do about it? One of the great strengths of this particular library is that we hardly ever go through our collection discarding anything. You know, you would think that in a properly run institution that I would be able to tell you the exact number of books that we have, or manuscripts, or watercolors, or photographs or prints or whatever we have? And the answer is that in American terms, we are so old that we haven't got the vaguest notion, accurate notion of how many hundreds of thousands of books we have.
A building looks all of a piece, but it isn't. Not only is it constantly changing, different parts are changing at different rates. When you dissect a building in terms of rates of change, an interesting pattern emerges. There are 6 different layers. From slowest to quickest, they are site, structure, skin, services, space plan, and stuff. The site of the Liberty department store in London is surprisingly recent. Regent Street was created around 1805 by city planner John Nash. In 1875, Arthur Liberty opened a shop at number 218A with 3 employees.
Then he began to spread gradually down the street. When Liberty expanded around the corner, he opted for this mock Tudor structure, using the timbers from 2 man-of-war ships built of 3,000 oaks from the New Forest. Inside, the space plan was laid out as a series of deep galleries, 5 stories high, grouped around 3 atriums resembling the courtyards of Old English inns. The early lifts are still here, but the rest of the services inside, the electricity, heating, and plumbing systems, as well as the escalators, have been added and repeatedly replaced right through the 20th century. The space plan is continually changing as departments are moved around the store. Carpets go upstairs, perfume comes downstairs. Here, the old boiler room is being ripped out to expand the menswear section.
It's so easy to keep Liberty the way how it was and not to change anything. But, you know, within a few years, you will be a museum. The Liberty is department store. We have to make money. It is commercial, but it has this most wonderful theatrical building.
In a shop such as Liberty, one part of the skin moves very quickly indeed. Its window displays change every 2 weeks. And the fastest moving part of the building is the stuff, the merchandise and furniture. Site, structure, skin, services, space plan, stuff. Liberty is changing at 6 different speeds.
Once you start peeling away the layers of a building, differences of pace are everything. The quick processes provide originality and challenge, while the slow provide continuity and restraint.
Anyway, I think that's a really cool way to look at how buildings change and everything, so that's part of why I wanted to show you folks that. Tell you guys a story. When I was up in Thurston County, I worked at a building. It was up, I don't know if you know Olympia at all. It was up on the west side, sort of by the Thurston County Courthouse. And the building that I worked in was this cul-de-sac, a building on a cul-de-sac, right? It was brick and everything. It kind of looked old. And so we had these interns from Evergreen State College come in. And so I asked them, we would do these little educational things. I asked them, how can you tell how old this building is? They're like, oh, the brick, the windows. I'm like, no. How can you tell how old this building is? How old do you think this building is? They're guessing they had no idea. Like, you can tell because it's on a cul-de-sac. If this was in an old part of the city this would not be on a cul-de-sac. The building would probably be touched next to each other, right? The whole idea that we would be up here on this cul-de-sac way over here, no. You know, and they're like, oh, and it's the same sort of principle, so we can look at like downtown, we can see the buildings pushed together, we can compare it to Central Plaza, and we can see that that's a whole different time frame and thought patterns that were going into the development of that area that went into downtown, right? And I guess I just want us all to think about, okay, what thought patterns are going into how we're building the city now? Right, are they appropriate? All that sort of stuff, and then, yeah, too, just sort of really embracing the fact that, yeah, no, the city is changing. All the time, and that we have a chance to shape it ourselves, and I just think that's a neat thing, so. Where are we?
So. It is 6:30, I don't think we have any new business. Other discussions or information items. I will inform you all that this is Commissioner Berry's last meeting with the Independence Historic Preservation Commission. Commissioner Berry, we will
Yes.
miss your valuable input and your cheerful demeanor. We can never thank our volunteers enough for all the time they freely give their community, but we always love to try. So thank you so much for your many years of service. Please take care.
Thank you so much for it. Thank you, I really enjoyed my time here. Really, yeah,
We've enjoyed having you.
thank you.
I'm super much, so we're gonna go with just adjourning this.